This is the African News. We are broadcasting from Canada. I am Sandra Asante. Headlines. US says Ethiopia drones positive if action follows. Storms damage Ethiopian refugee shelters in Sudan. Tigray crisis, 30,000 children risk imminent death. Eri-tv Christians under pressure. Details of these stories coming up after the break. Stay tuned. You're welcome back from the break. Thank you so much for staying with me to our first story in Ethiopia. The United States has said Ethiopia's declaration of a unilateral ceasefire in the Tigray region could be a positive step if this results in moves to end the conflict. The State Department urged all parties to allow humanitarian access and speed up the delivery of food assistance. Hundreds of thousands of people in the region are already facing famine. Tigrayan fighters have continued to gain grounds. United Nations officials said the rebels entered the town of Shire on Tuesday after seizing the regional capital Mekelle the day before. The United States also called for the immediate, verifiable withdrawal of Eritrean troops who have been supporting Ethiopian federal forces. The Tigrayans have said they will not stop fighting until they have degraded the capabilities of their enemies. We are still in Ethiopia, and severe storms have damaged the shelter of more than 16,000 Ethiopian refugees in the eastern Sudan, the United Nations says. Heavy rains, strong winds and hailstorms destroyed tents and swept away belongings. The UN said about a quarter of the shelters had been damaged. It is providing the refugee with blankets, sleeping mats and other supplies. Drainage systems are being dug to mitigate the risk of further flooding. Tens of thousands of Ethiopians are seeking refuge in Sudan after fleeing the war in Tigray. We are now in Tigray now, and the United Nations says it needs urgent access to tens of thousands of vulnerable people in Tigray in the northern Ethiopia. The UN Children's Agency, the UNICEF, said roads needed to be open and humanitarian flights allowed to deliver essential supplies as more than 30,000 children risk imminent death. We also need to make sure that the telecommunications are restored, that power is reconnected, and we need to make sure we have access to the people that need to humanitarian assistance, UNICEF representative Adele Cord told the BBC. A government official in the capital, Addis Ababa, said the military could retake Tigray's regional capital, Mekelle, in 3 weeks if necessary. It was seized on Monday by rebel forces. The army says it left the city because it needed to prepare for other threats, and the Tigrayan rebels are no longer a problem. We are in Eritrea now, and Catholic schools cease. Church-run clinics shut down. Eritrean Catholic says the government has 4 years been taking over their property. Primary schools are just the latest to be seized. The Catholic Church is one of 4 religious groups allowed to operate in the repressive country, the others being the Eritrean Orthodox Church, Evangelical Lutherans, and the Sunni Islam. But the BBC Tekle Marian Batik says there is now fear within the Catholic Church in Eritrea. Most of the nuns, brothers and priests that were engaged in teaching are out of the job, he says. In the past, the Eritrean government has justified these takeovers by saying education and health are responsibilities of the state, not the church. But for the Catholic community, this has created a sense of unease, and they are not alone at that. Human rights activists accuse Eritrea of religion-related oppression. In 2002, the government shut by church and also started arresting all the pastors. Reverend Dr. Bahan Asmelash told me. Now based in the UK, he is the director of Release Eritrea, a group that supports Christians in Eritrea. I knew that if I go back, I will go straight to prison, he stated. Some Christian groups, in particular Pentecostal and Evangelical Christians, have often been accused of being instruments of foreign government. And yet, it is hard to reconcile these events with Eritrean historical links to Christianity. After all, it was in the land of modern-day Eritrea that some of the African earliest churches were built. Thank you so much for watching today's African News. My name is Sandra Asante. I'll see you some other time. Do have a beautiful day.